Hello, everyone, and welcome to another segment where we're going to be sharing stories from people who are highly intuitive and who are coming forward to share their experiences and talk about their backgrounds so that we can continue to educate our community about people with the trait of high intuition and how it's affected our lives and how it's affecting our parenting and just advice that we have for others based on our own personal experiences. And so today I have Fran, who I'm so happy that she's here and joining us. And Fran is actually located in Portugal. And so I think that's amazing because we're getting stories of people in different countries and around the world. And this is so important for everyone to see that it's everyone, everywhere. All of us have this trait of high intuition. And now talking about it more and more lets us know that we're not alone. It's not unique. It is something that, 15 to 20% of the population or more have this. And it's something that, we just need to talk about, normalize. And this way we can set a foundation for really helping our children going forward when it's really understood, what it is. And we learn through sharing stories. So I want to thank Fran for coming to do this chat with me today. And Fran, if you could tell us a little bit you can tell more about where you're from and what you do, and then we'll just launch into talking about more about your abilities and being a highly intuitive person.
So first of all, thank you, Ellen, for this. That's amazing program that you've been doing. So I am a Japanese Brazilian. I was born and raised in Brazil, but my family is originally from Japan. I am currently now based in Lisbon, Portugal, as you just mentioned, and I work as a psychic reader, psychic medium, and also energy healer.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. That's so great that you're there and you're doing and able to bring this type of work to the community. So how long have you been officially doing work as an energy healer and a psychic medium, and how is this embraced in Portugal?
Well, I started my career as energy healer only, officially, as my only title, around 5-6 years ago. But it took me a long time to first accept myself of working with energy, something that was really not common or familiar to me and to many people around me. And I came from a corporate work, and then I needed to have a 2 years transition. And then I worked as an energy healer since then, around 5 years ago. And I'm based in Lisbon here. When I tell people that I do this work, it's not something I think that they would understand at first moment. When you say like, I am a medical doctor, or I am an engineer, or I am a teacher, it's like people, they sort of expect what you do. And when I tell this to people, they have two reactions. One is like, oh, what is it? And the other one is like, oh, I've heard something about it, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. So I can feel that it's something still new here in Portugal, even though I can see like more and more people are getting to know more about this sort of services, and they are feeling the need of work, of inner work, therapies and balance.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful to hear. So you're bringing it, helping to bring awareness to it and getting it out into the community for people to start understanding it and using it. And that's great. So I would love to hear, like, that's where you are now. How did you get there? When did your abilities start, and how did you learn to accept them and start working with them? Take us through, starting with your childhood, how you knew that you were a highly intuitive person with the gift of energy healing and then in psychic mediumship.
Well, I never knew exactly what was happening to me, but I can still hear the stories my mom shares, and she always tells me that I was a kid with very, how to say, very sensitive. I could be very happy, but in a level like, it was a tremendous high level of happiness. And suddenly I would get very, very, very upset, and I would be very sensitive to places I would go and people I would meet. And of course, I cannot remember because it all started when I was around 1 year old, that actually she realized that. But I was a very easily responsive kid. So if I had something wrong happening at home, or if my parents were not okay, I would feel that. And then I would hurt myself. I would climb walls and everything and chairs and close it, and then I would fall down just to show how much anger I was feeling, or how much I wanted to express that something was not going well, or exactly what I wanted. And my mom always understood this as energetically related to spirituality and energy, but it was not something that she could easily find an answer. So she went one day to doctor. I was at that time maybe around 5 years old, and she told doctor, I think my daughter has a problem, but I know that parents, maybe I have problem, but I cannot understand what is going on. And then the psychologist, he told my mom, the kids normally are very sensitive, and but we don't have proper tools to help you, but I want you to observe. And I think that that's the first moment that my mom stopped, and she was like, oh, so everything that I feel and don't say, she will express somehow. And I think this is how she started understanding my way of expressing. And then when I was around 14 years old, I got into an accident and I had my head hurt, and I fainted for a long time. I think it was almost an hour. I got unconscious. And at that time, I was together with my sister until my mom would join us to help us. And then my sister told me that during I was fainted, I got up and she saw me walking to the bathroom. And then she told me clearly that I was hanging on something else. And when I came back, I told her, I saw grandpa, and I think he came to help me. And he told me that I'm gonna be fine. And then she was like, oh my God, so is that why you were walking like that? And I was like, I can't remember I was walking like that, but I know he came to help me. And then she shared this story to all of our family, and everybody was shocked, somehow believing a little bit, but wanting not to believe somehow. And then these were the sort of evidences that we could get more and more until I got to university. I was around 20 years old, and then I started fainting. And my faintings would be like, I couldn't remember what was going on, but I would just have like suddenly a blackout. And when I come back, I would be like desperate in a very short breath. And people around me, they would tell me that I could see things, that I could talk to people, and I would even mention names. Then I went to see conventional doctors because I thought it could be something like for neurosurgeons to do something in my head, in my brain. And luckily, I didn't have anything, but one of the doctors just told me that I could investigate better something about the pineal gland, because it was not his specialization. And also in Brazil at that time, nobody would tell about this. I never did any deeper research on that, because after that episode, after 1 year, I got healed from that. And I was like, okay, this was just I don't know, something, but now it's okay. And then I got married 13 years ago, and then I started fainting again. And that's when my husband looked at me and he told me, when you fell down, I know it's not you. It's very scary, but I think because I am with you, somehow I think I need to study and we need to find a way. And I think this is spiritual. I think this is spiritual. And the same way it can be very low frequency, I think it can also be high frequency with better and lighter messages. And then I was like, okay. And then it took me like 10 or 11 years to accept myself. But the more I could understand that everybody can be a channel of, doesn't matter the vibration, but somehow we are here to spread the message and to feel that we are all connected. The more I would accept that, the more I would be open to work with I had inside. And that's when I had a click, and I was like, hey, I'm not here only to, to do my job, earn money and spend money. I am here to do something else greater than, I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm feeling that calling. And then I started studying everything about spirituality and energy work. And then I decided to become and accept myself as an energy healer and psychic medium.
Wow, I love that. See, people are going to get so much out of just what you shared. That's wonderful to hear your story. And I'm going to go back on a few points that I want to highlight because I think it's great. When you were talking about being a child, and for parents to hear that, it's like you could feel, so you were very empathic with your abilities, and you could feel the emotions of your parent around you, and like you said, having the highs and the lows, and then you would hurt yourself and you were acting out in that way because you didn't have the words or understanding of how to express it. And that's something for parents to pay attention to with their children, because I noticed the same with my son, that when he was younger and he was sensitive and he would act out in certain ways and we didn't understand why. But we know he's very empathic now, and he's picking up on the energy around him. So that's just one of the things that's so important for parents to understand, to look for things like, just be aware of that. So that can be another sign for them. And it was great that your mother was aware and worked, and started observing it and became aware of that. So was your mother, does she have abilities as well? Are you aware if she did?
Yes, actually, she worked as energy healer as well for a long time. Now she's sort of retired, but I think when she was child, things were even harder for her because this topic was definitely something not considered to talk about. And during her adult phase, then she started dedicating more time with that, and she worked as a unconscious channeler, and she worked also with some tarot cards readers, some different oracle cards, and then that's why I think I could have this very supportive energy from my mother. But all the other family, the rest of the family, they were like, no, maybe she needs a real serious treatment. And maybe that's the case of taking some strong medicine that can fix her. And my mom was the one that I need first to understand if this is spiritual. And then we can think about something else. I think as a mother now, we have this mother instinct. And I think this cannot be ignored. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the point that she gets to, that she was like, I need to fight for my daughter in a way that perhaps nobody had done to me. And then I think she did a pretty good job here.
That is absolutely wonderful to hear. And that's beautiful, because we're actually going to be talking about that, our parent meetup this time, about parenting and using our intuitiveness. Everybody has it to really key in and hone in on what's going on with our child. And it's so great that your mom was able to spot that and advocated for you in that way and was supportive of you in that way. And I think it's just raising awareness that people can take your child, or even yourself, for those who may be kind of recovering and reconnecting with their abilities. Sometimes we have things going on with our bodies that we don't realize is actually more of a spiritual, intuitive related, energetic related issue, that when you start connecting and working with that, you start healing some of those symptoms and those things that are happening with you. And even the fact of, like, you going to 14 and having that experience and meeting with your grandfather, and meeting your husband, who was supportive of you fainting, and then helping you to tap into and being, that's so key, being supportive and having someone that helps you to understand that it could be something different. It's not a problem, or like you getting on medicine, which people have to rule that out. I mean, if they feel that's, go to the doctors. If they say there's nothing wrong with you, then start investigating energetically. But that's beautiful too, because I think that's a big help for me, is that the support of my husband when not everything broke for me. So I love hearing that. So how is all of this? You talked about how this has helped your mother helped you. How old is your daughter? And how are you supporting? Have you seen abilities in her? And how are you helping her?
Yes, I've seen abilities on her. And I believe when we are paying attention on children, I think all of them are more sensitive than us as adults. It's just sometimes that we can't see things because maybe it's slightly perceived. But in her case, every time she sees someone that gets hurt, she goes there and she says, "I can help you." And then she put her hands on and she closes her eyes and she stays there. She's only 2 years and a half, and I think I've never taught her that. And but as my husband is also a Reiki master teacher, perhaps she had seen him doing this maybe somehow, but also he never taught her how to do it. But intuitively and automatically, she started doing this. And that's beautiful, because after she does that, she goes to us and she asks, "Are you feeling better? Do you need some more energy?" And we are just like, "Oh, it's so cute." And now I think I keep thinking, imagining how she's doing at school, because she goes to kindergarten. And I think when one of her friends got hurt, I think she just does that. And I think that's beautiful, because I think that's when they can exchange their abilities, right? So that was the first thing that really grabbed my attention. And another thing that I could see some of her abilities, it was she was having night terrors. It was actually the first night terror that she was having. And as a first-time mom, I didn't know that. So I went online to check what was that. And it seems to be something common, but the way she did, I couldn't feel that it was something common, because she mentioned clearly a name of one of her classmates, but she was mentioning her and in a way that she was trying to warn her. She was trying to warn her friend of something. And it was not fighting against her, but it was just like, asking for her attention. And maybe I should go to school and ask about this girl, this classmate of hers, and see what is going on. And then I asked a teacher, and then I just mentioned her, "Hey, but you know what? It's not because of the night terrors, because I think the teacher wouldn't understand." But I told her, "Are they very close, or are they having something, maybe issues, or maybe, I don't know, what could it be?" And the teacher was, "No, they are not close. They are really not close. And this girl is from another class. So they are not like every day, like a daily basis together." And I was, okay, but is there something special to this kid? Because she knows her name, and she said very clearly her name. And then the teacher was, she's not been attending class lately, because it seems like they have some family issues or something like that, and she's not coming. And then I was like, oh, I think my daughter was speaking something. And then I talked to my daughter, and when she had the night terror again, I was just talking to her, of course, not getting her up, but telling her that everything was fine. And she could tell her friend that even though parents sometimes go through a very hard moment, the kids, they can be safe and they can still feel loved, even though parents don't express like that, and everything would be fine. She didn't need to get worried about them, because they are adults and they will find a way to keep the family safe and healthy. And no matter decisions they take, she can feel loved. So I asked my daughter to tell this to her friend while she was sleeping. And the night terror just stopped it. So I think this somehow was her ability, and I think it happened somehow. I do believe so.
Wow. Those are great stories for parents to hear. Absolutely wonderful, because I know that there's someone out there who will be experiencing things with their child that they won't necessarily know. And like sharing our stories, they can start to maybe say, oh, I see that in my child and sense that. I love what you said about your daughter doing the hands for the energy healing. My son was doing that too. My son is now 12, but when he was younger, and still now he's at that stage where he doesn't want to, he wants trying to fit in so hard. He's not out there wanting to acknowledge his abilities as much, but he would go and do that too, put his hands over children. And he said that when he was like 7, 8 years old, and some of the kids would tease him like, what are you doing? But if somebody fell, he immediately had the instinct to go put his hands to, and he said, Mom, a couple of times he came home and said, Mom, I did that. And they said their pain went away. And I was like, see, isn't that beautiful how you can help just putting your hands over, you're sending, positive energy and love into them to help them, make them feel better. So kids just naturally have that instinct about them, and wanting to, it's something that they, when it's in them, that they just want to express. And that's where I think we have to just raising awareness so that other parents can maybe also understand that this is not strange, and letting our kids do what comes naturally. And somehow if we can raise awareness so the kids don't tease other kids, or we can get that awareness out there so they can start understanding it and realizing that it's not a weird thing. These kids are just naturally responding to their, I want to say spiritual intuitive gifts, but just that natural innateness we have to help each other in that way. So
Yeah.
wow, I love, and the night terror story. I love what you're saying and what you're doing with your daughter. She's so blessed to have you as a mom who's tuned in to this and working with it and going to be able to support her on her journey. And I wanted to ask you just to kind of go back and loop around. So when you accepted your gifts, did you start doing training? Did you start, when you went on your search for how you were going to help, hone and refine what you have and start working with it to support other people, what was your journey there like? What did you find that was helpful for you that maybe some other parents might find helpful, or even that it can become a foundation for the children, parents with children to use?
Yeah, it was very important to me to connect with the other mediums and healers and other psychic readers, and people that I would meet, and they wouldn't tell me that I was crazy. They would just support me in a way that I could feel like, hey, I'm not the only one here. And it was good because it doesn't make me feel different or even special in a weird way. But on the other hand, would me feel like included in a community where people, they have their gifts and they can accept and they can work and they can make a life with that. So I started feeling like this is the community and people that I want to be with, and felt very embraced and accepted by them. And then I read lots of books about spirituality. And I started going deeper in several different religions as well, that would bring something that could help me understand what was going on. And then I realized that religion and spirituality are two different things, and they have a different purpose and they have a different ways, but both of them have something common, which is work with faith and love. And then I started feeling that, hey, I am strong enough to choose what I want to my life. And when I make these choices consciously, it seems like I change my reality and I own the reality that I have. And the more I would study, the more powerful I would feel, to a moment that I had this message from my guides, like, you're ready to help others. you were ready. And when I listened, when I heard that, or when I felt that, I had no doubt that it was my divine time to start working officially as an energy healer. And then what I decided to do is I asked them how I could better serve this highest energy and my purpose here. And then they told me, you know, there are several ways. You just need to choose while you are there, incarnated in a human body. But we are gonna work from the other side, no matter what you decide. And then I was like, I like cards, I like tarot, I like talking. So, and then they were like, yes, let's work with that. And then I started working with tarot card readings, and I'm sharing with people the psychic readings, and then the partially unconscious channeling that I offer. And it was also the same as my mom used to do. That's when we put ourselves available and they speak through. They speak through. And then for the lot of people that I know, it was not something common, and they are not something familiar for them. And some of them would feel like a little bit, hey, I'm afraid of being talking to you, but it's not you. And then I tell people, yes, we can have other types of sessions that can offer you different things, because if you don't feel like ready to talk to spirit directly, it's fine, because they will talk to you in other ways. So they will find a way to talk to you. And that's when I started realizing that the more I would practice, the more I would get better in this and would accept me better. And I think when I really started believing and feeling that everybody's gifted in a way, I started feeling like, hey, why can't I embrace and accept my gift if everybody's gifted in a way? And that one thing, I think this was the turning point of my life with spirituality.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful and well put, because it's important for people and to realize for themselves, the adults who have this, and even for children, like you said, community is so important, because when you do have a unique type of gift, being around people and others who understand it and can be supportive, it's really key. And that was a big part of why we started this community here, the Highly Intuitive Kids Parent Community. And we set up a website, and we have the Facebook group to get information out there and let people know there are resources and information, and there's a community to support. Because when you don't know and you're going through and experiencing this, it can be a lonely feeling. It can be kind of a scary feeling if you don't understand what's happening to you. And so having resources, like you said, books and information, like on our website, and having that community is really important. So if there are parents out there and others out there, we always check our website and, this group here. And then there's lots of other groups out there for people who want to develop mediumship and energy healing and other gifts. Don't be afraid to join and check into those things. But also that, like you said, that ongoing connection. And that's one of the things I always tell my son, and I will tell people, once you have this, it's not going away. It's a connection. It's your soul's purpose. This is what you're here to help work with in whatever way it feels right for you, and that, you're being guided and feels good in your soul and your spirit. That's what you're meant to do with it. So some people are called to energy healing. Some people are called to being a psychic medium. Some people are called to also say, not everybody wants to go that way, and they have this heightened sense of intuition, but they may be the best musician or the best artist or the best scientist, and they're taking their intuitive abilities into that field and coming up with these great innovations and new breakthroughs and masterpieces that are changing those fields. So it's like, whatever you're called to do, that's how you're meant to use it. But just know that if it's your unique gift, it's not going to go away. And it is embracing it, fully stepping into yourself, owning it, and bringing what you're meant to bring to the world. And so the world is blessed to have what you're doing, Fran, with you being an energy healer and putting out what you are meant to do with it. And then, like you said, with the vocal, some people don't understand that, and that's okay. But that is, it's a form of channeling. I can do that as well. I can speak and do channeling vocally as well. And that's something that, just to even put that out there so that people know there's different forms of this. If that is happening to you, don't have to be afraid of it. I was afraid of it in the beginning, but you have to, and I, no one in my family ever had this. So it was great, Fran, that you saw your mom had that ability. And so
Correct.
that helped you to embrace it more. But just by talking about these things and planting little seeds, hopefully it'll open people's curiosity to do some more research or reach out, you know, to talk to people like you, like me, people in the group, communities, others out there, to start understanding this. So it's not weird. It's just a unique ability, a unique gift that we have been given to help at this time bring it to the world and help to change things and move things in the direction that is meant to be moved, and to help the children who come in so connected. They're so connected and so pure. And if we can keep them connected to their gifts and not shut down, we will have a different, just think of the advancements and the breakthroughs and things that will come into the world that much sooner, because we let them stay connected to that purity and let the creative and intuitiveness flow through them to help change things and make things better for, you know, next generations. So wow, Fran, I love everything that you shared today. It's so great to hear your story. So the one question, kind of wrapping up question, that I would like to ask you is that, you know, with the work that you're doing and the people that you're helping and just your experience, what one or two pieces of advice would you give to parents with a highly intuitive child, or who's maybe highly intuitive themselves and aren't fully connected to it? Or even some people think, well, I'm not intuitive at all. We all are. Everybody is. We just have it to different degrees. What advice, one or two pieces of advice, would you give them to help them along their parenting journey or even their own personal journey? But especially because we want to set a good foundation for the future for our young folks coming in, to stay connected to what is uniquely their special gifts.
Well, I'd say that it doesn't matter if you feel like you're very intuitive, or it doesn't matter which degree you have of sensitivity or mediumship or intuition. I think to give space and to hold a safe space for the kids to express whatever they are feeling, sensing, I think that's a very first good step. And then sometimes, even though it can be very scary, or the way that they express can be through aggression or through hard times, even though we have always ways to give them space to express. And then observe, try to connect whatever is there in your unconscious or the places where the kids are going to often, and work with energy, knowing that everything is energy, everything has a frequency, and I believe everything vibrates. So words are important, colors are important, music are important, gesture, intentions, thoughts, beliefs are important. So once we establish a healthy environment for the kids in all the aspects with good and high intention, I think they can absorb from us as I will give them a space so that we can learn together and we can learn more about their abilities, because everybody, as you said, at some degree, we have something of intuition. So I think that would be my advice.
Wow, that's beautiful. Very, very, very well said. Thank you so much. There's going to be a lot of parents and people who are going to hear this that is going to find, you know, lots of good nuggets of information and maybe see it in themselves or see it in their children and be able to use it to help them going forward with maybe raise a little more awareness and help, you know, spur them on to research and to, like you said, hold that space for their child a little differently where they may not have understood before. They may now look at it a little differently on how they can start to work with their child. So thank you, Fran. I truly appreciate you bringing your insights, sharing your story, the advice that you're giving to parents. This is just something that's going to be very helpful to a lot of people. So I want to thank you so much for doing this, agreeing to do this video chat with us for the highly intuitive kids community and getting the word out to more folks to help normalize something that really is really does need to be normalized, because we all have this intuition, like we said, to different degrees. Let's embrace it and bring our whole selves to the table instead of sometimes hiding it because we don't know what to do with it. We're scared of it. We don't think people will accept us, but let's be authentic and bring our whole selves to the table and help our children stay connected to them, their whole selves, their authenticity from the beginning by holding that space and understanding them. So thank you so much, Fran.
Thank you very much, Ellen. And thank you for this beautiful work, because this is what we need to help humanity growing, and our kids, the next generations, they are about it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. So until we talk again, because I'm sure we'll be talking again, and I appreciate you and thank you for sharing your light with us.
Thank you.